Commander Razak stood on the bridge of the Eternal Conqueror, his massive frame casting a long shadow across the polished obsidian floor. His crimson scales glistened under the harsh lighting, and the 7 battle scars on his face told stories of glorious victories that had cemented his reputation as the most feared warrior in the known galaxy. "Commander, sensors have detected a single Earth vessel at the edge of their solar system," announced Lieutenant Krell, his voice tinged with confusion. "Just one ship, sir." Razak's yellow eyes narrowed to slits. "One ship? These humans mock me. After conquering 37 planets without a single shot fired, they send one ship?" He slammed his clawed fist against the command console, cracking its surface. "No race has ever been so foolish." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Commander Razak's legendary temper was as famous as his flawless conquest record. Not a single civilization had ever resisted once they witnessed the might of the Drakian Armada. "Establish communication," Razak growled. "Let me see these suicidal humans." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a surprisingly ordinary-looking human male with disheveled brown hair and a day's worth of stubble. He appeared to be drinking something from a container labeled "World's Okayest Captain." "This is Commander Razak of the Drakian Empire. Your planet stands on the brink of conquest. Surrender immediately or face annihilation." The human took a long sip from his container before responding. "Hey there. Jack Harper, captain of this fine vessel, though probably bad idea. Love the scales, by the way. Very intimidating. Do they require special moisturizer?" Razak blinked, momentarily speechless. "Did you not hear me, human? I am Commander Razak. Conqueror of worlds. Destroyer of civilizations." Yeah, I got that part," Jack replied, waving his hand dismissively. "But seriously, have you considered anger management? Your blood pressure must be through the roof with all that shouting." Lieutenant Krell cautiously approached his commander. "Sir, our scans indicate this vessel is barely armed. It poses no threat whatsoever." Razak's tail twitched dangerously. "Is this some kind of trick? Where is your fleet, human?" Jack Harper shrugged. "Fleet? Budget cuts, you know how it is. Economy's been rough. So it's just little old me out here to greet the big bad aliens. Want to swap recipes while we're chatting? I make a killer grilled cheese sandwich. Are you mocking me?" Razak's voice dropped to a dangerous whisper. "Me? Mock the guy with the massive warship and anger issues? I wouldn't dream of it." Jack grinned, raising his drink in a mock toast. "So, what's the plan? You blow me up and then go home feeling accomplished about destroying one tiny ship?" Razak turned to his second-in-command. "Prepare a boarding party. I will deal with this human personally." "Boarding party? Awesome." Jack's voice echoed across the bridge. "Should I put out snacks? What do Drakians drink, anyway? Beer? Wine? The blood of your enemies?" As the communication ended, Razak stared at the now blank screen. For the first time in his illustrious career, he felt something unexpected: confusion. Where was the fear? The begging? The immediate surrender? "Sir," ventured Lieutenant Krell, "is it wise to board? This could be a trap." Razak's lips curled back, revealing rows of serrated teeth. "One human, Lieutenant. What possible danger could one human pose to me?" The airlock hissed open as Commander Razak ducked his massive frame through the entry port of the human vessel. Behind him, 6 elite Drakian guards, each hand-picked for their ferocity and loyalty, filed in with plasma rifles at the ready. "What in the 7 moons is this place?" Lieutenant Krell muttered, his reptilian eyes darting around the corridor. The human ship defied all Drakian military logic. Instead of the sleek, minimalist efficiency that marked superior spacecraft design, this vessel was a hodgepodge of seemingly random components. The walls were plastered with colorful images, some depicting Earth landscapes, others showing humans in various poses with text like, "Hang in there, baby," beneath a feline dangling from a branch. "This isn't a warship. It's a floating junkyard," Razak growled, his claws scraping against a wall adorned with something called fairy lights. "Welcome, welcome." Jack Harper's voice boomed from further inside the ship. "Follow the arrows. I've set up a little meet and greet in the galley." Sure enough, crude paper arrows with smiley faces had been taped to the walls. Razak's eye twitched violently. "Proceed with caution," he ordered his men. This could still be an elaborate trap. The arrows led them to a small room that the humans apparently called a galley. Jack Harper stood behind a counter, wearing an apron that read, "Kiss the cook. Or don't, I'm not your boss." "There you are. Right on time for coffee and cookies," Jack announced cheerfully, as if welcoming old friends rather than deadly alien invaders. "Hope you don't mind, but I went with chocolate chip. Everyone likes chocolate chip, right? Even scary space lizards?" Razak's hand instinctively went to his plasma pistol. "Human. You stand before the conquest force of the mighty Drekian Empire. Where is your crew? Where are your defenses?" Jack slid a plate of cookies across the counter. "Crew? Oh, it's just me. Budget cuts, remember? Coffee? It's fresh. Well, freshish. Made it this morning. Or was it yesterday? Time gets fuzzy out here. Just you?" Lieutenant Krell scanned the room with his tactical visor. "Our scans confirm. The human speaks the truth, Commander. He appears to be alone on this vessel." Razak's scales darkened with rage. "This is an insult. One human? In this floating trash container? This is Earth's defense against the mightiest armada in the galaxy?" Jack took a bite of cookie, scattering crumbs down his shirt. "Hey now, no need to get personal about my decorating skills. And technically, I'm not defending anything. Just here to say hi, really." "You're on a suicide mission," Razak stated flatly, his tactical mind finally grasping the situation. "A lone sacrifice to delay our advance." "Suicide mission?" "Nah," Jack laughed, pushing a mug toward the commander. "Though I suppose that depends on whether you guys like my coffee or not. It's been known to be lethal in certain circles." As Jack continued chatting amicably about coffee brewing techniques, Razak felt something he hadn't experienced in decades of conquest. Uncertainty. Commander Razak loomed over Jack Harper, his imposing frame casting a shadow across the small galley table. The human sat casually, legs crossed, sipping his coffee as if being interrogated by the galaxy's most feared conqueror was just another Tuesday. "Enough games, human," Razak snarled, slamming his clawed hand on the table. "No one volunteers for a suicide mission without reason. What aren't you telling me?" Jack's perpetual smirk faltered slightly. He set down his mug and rolled up his sleeve, revealing an intricate pattern of blue-black lines spreading across his skin like a web. "Synthrax cancer. Terminal. Got about 3 months left, give or take," Jack explained, his voice losing some of its cheerful edge. "When Earth needed someone for this mission, I figured, why not? Nothing to lose, right? Everyone else has families, futures. Things worth sticking around for." Lieutenant Krell exchanged glances with his commander. "A dying human as Earth's defense? This makes no tactical sense." Jack laughed, a genuine sound that echoed around the metal walls. "Me? Earth's defense? Oh no, no, no. I'm just the welcome wagon. The decoy. The guy who keeps you chatting while the real show gets into position." Razak's communicator suddenly buzzed with urgency. "Commander. Sensors are detecting. It's impossible. Hundreds of ships appearing from behind the gas giant. They're emerging from some kind of cloaking technology we've never seen. Jack took another casual sip of his coffee. That would be Admiral Patel's Third Fleet. Probably bringing the Orion-class dreadnoughts. Those things pack quite a punch, let me tell you. Razak raced to the nearest viewing port, his elite guards following in confusion. The blackness of space was now dotted with sleek vessels, their formation precise and threatening. The human ships weren't the ramshackle junk heaps they'd expected, they were advanced, predatory, and unmistakably built for war. How is this possible? Razak whispered. Our intelligence indicated humans were barely spacefaring. A pre-FTL civilization with primitive weapons and no unified defense. Jack appeared beside him, munching on another cookie. Yeah, that's what we wanted you to think. Those primitive broadcasts you've been intercepting? Classic misdirection. We've been exploring the stars for centuries. Just quietly, you know. Watching. Learning. Preparing. For what? Krell demanded. For folks like you, Jack replied with a shrug. No offense, but you're not the first expansionist empire we've encountered. Just the most enthusiastic. Razak's tactical mind raced. The human armada now surrounding his lone warship was at least 3 times the size of his own fleet waiting at the edge of the system. You've been letting species like mine conquer worlds, while hiding your true capabilities? Razak asked, a newfound respect creeping into his voice. We don't interfere unless we have to, Jack explained, surprising the commander with the sudden seriousness in his tone. But make no mistake, Commander Razak, humanity doesn't surrender. We never have. And trust me, you really wouldn't like us when we're cornered. Commander Razak stood motionless at the viewport, his tactical mind calculating their chances against the human armada. The numbers weren't promising. His 7 battle scars seemed to itch with the memory of hard-won victories, but this would not be another one. Your fleet is outnumbered and outgunned, Razak finally admitted, turning to face Jack. A battle would be unwise. Glad we agree, Jack replied, finishing his cookie with a satisfied crunch. So, here's what happens next. You're expecting us to demand your surrender, maybe take your ship as a prize, parade you around as the big bad alien who got beaten, right? Razak's eyes narrowed. It would be the logical course of action for the victors. Jack laughed, slapping his knee. See, that's where you guys keep getting us wrong. We're not interested in humiliating you or taking your stuff. We're offering you something better. And what might that be? Lieutenant Krell asked skeptically. An alliance, Jack said simply. Earth doesn't need more enemies. We've got plenty of those already. What we need are friends who understand the value of cooperation. Razak's tail twitched in surprise. You would trust us after we came to conquer your world? Jack shrugged, his ever-present smile softening. Everyone deserves a second chance. It's kind of our thing. Humans mess up all the time, but we believe in redemption. Besides, wouldn't you rather be trading with us than fighting us? I've seen your supply chains, they could use some improvement. The human makes a valid point, Commander, Krell whispered, momentarily forgetting Jack could hear him. Their technology clearly exceeds our intelligence reports. As allies, they could be valuable. A deep rumble started in Razak's chest, growing until it erupted into something Jack realized was laughter, probably the first time the bridge crew had ever heard such a sound from their commander. In 37 conquests, no species has ever surprised me, Razak admitted. You humans are either the bravest or the most foolish beings I've encountered. Perhaps both. We get that a lot, Jack grinned. So, what do you say? Friends? He extended his hand, a simple human gesture that somehow carried more weight than any formal treaty. After a moment's hesitation, Razak enveloped Jack's small hand in his massive clawed one. Friends. 3 months later, Commander Razak stood before the assembly of galactic powers, his reputation no longer that of a conqueror, but of a diplomat. The first successful human-Drakian trade agreements had been signed, and cultural exchanges were already underway. The humans are unlike any species we have encountered, Razak concluded his address to the assembled representatives. They face death with laughter, offer friendship to enemies, and hide world-destroying weapons behind smiles and cookies. He paused, remembering Jack Harper, who had peacefully completed his life journey just weeks after their historic meeting. Mark my words, Razak's voice carried across the silent chamber. Never underestimate the humans, especially the ones who laugh in the face of death. They will either be your greatest allies or your final opponents.